What's up guys, and welcome to today's video. Today we're going to talk about another board that is based on 13th gen of Intel Core processors. This is the ASRock Z790 PRO RS, which compared to the Taichi models looks a bit minimalistic, but I would say in the price category, in the price range, looks just right. BeQuiet Silent Wings 4 fan series, technically optimized on every level, which are suited for high-end PC builds as radiator fans, heatsinks and case fans alike. The variety of fan corners from different purposes, or the smooth running 6-pole fan motor with fluid dynamic bearing, and you could say that they are the most progressive and technically advanced fans by BeQuiet and the paragon of every fan in the category. They have a new blade arrangement, which means that Silent Wings 4 series fans are setting a new standard for all other fans in the high-end category. All black sleek design with newly designed elegant fan sticker ensures that fan will make a great impression in any PC case. If you want to learn more about BeQuiet Silent Wings 4, check out the links in the description below. Now, when we take a look at the motherboard, you can see that you don't have any of those huge passive heatsinks, those huge RGB parts as well. And we don't have any reinforcements here on the RAMs. We do have them on the first PCI slot, but we do have huge passive heatsinks on the VRAMs. Now, comparing it to some other boards, these passive heatsinks are much bigger compared to the others, and comparing to the VRAMs that this motherboard has and the others that have much better power stage than this one, but still less cooling. So yeah, that's that. Now, when we're talking about the whole color scheme, we have silver, grayish, white and black going throughout the build, so you could maybe do some monochromatic build with it, but that's just an idea. It doesn't have to do literally anything with the board. Now, right here we have the Intel Core i5-13600k, which I already tested on the Z790 Taichi, and we're going to take it for a spin here as well and check out the benchmarks to see and compare to the Z790 Taichi and to see the results, what we get with those. Now, before we go any further, of course, as usual, let's check out some features, specifications and the details that you need to know. It supports 13th generation and 12th generation of Intel Core processors with the LGA 1700 socket. The chipset is Intel Z790. The power design is 14+1+1 phase Dr. Moss. We have 4x DDR5 slots which support DDR5 sticks up to 6800 MHz OC. We have one PCI 5.0x16, one PCI 4.0x16, two PCI 3.0x1, and one M.2 key E for Wi-Fi. Graphics output, we have one HDMI, one DisplayPort, and one eDP. As for the storage, we have 4 Hyper M.2 slots, Gen 4x4, and 8 SATA 3 ports, which is actually quite outstanding. Usually we get 6, but nevertheless even better. For the audio, we have 7.1 channel HD audio Realtek ALC897 audio codec with Nahimic audio. For the USBs, we have one USB 3.2 generation 2x2 Type-C on the front, one USB 3.2 generation 2 Type-C on the rear, one USB 3.2 generation 2 Type-A on the rear, 6 USB 3.2 generation 1, 2 at the rear and 4 at the front, 8 USB 2.0 for rear and for front. For the LAN, we have Dragon 2.5G and the form factor is, as usual, ATX. Now for some features, as I already stated, and they included that in the main features, 14+1+1 powered phase design. We have PCI Gen 5 technology, which has a still slot for better reinforcement. Front USB 3.2 generation 2x2 20 gigabits per second, which is double the speed of the USB 3.2 generation 2. And we have flexible integrated I/O shield. Now for the I/O overview, we have two USB 2.0, PS2 mouse and keyboard port, we have DisplayPort, HDMI, additional two USB 2.0, USB 3.2 generation 2 Type-C, and then we have the Type-A, 2.5G LAN, two USB 3.2 generation 1, audio in, out and microphone. In the box we don't get that much apart from the logical motherboard. You get screws for your M.2 standoffs and the SATA cables, which it's kind of basic, I would say. Now, when we take a look at the motherboard, we have two 8-pin EPS cables right at the top. We have one standard 24-pin. You have two 3.2 USBs right here on the side. You have 7 PWM headers, and you have 3 addressable RGB headers, which are fascinatingly located at the bottom part right next to the standard RGB 12 volts 4-pin. Usually we get 2 headers right here on the top on the far right side and one at the bottom far left side, but nevertheless quite alright. We have 2 slots right here at the bottom for your Hyper M.2 and one with the M.2 armor located right beneath the CPU socket. Quite alright, quite nice motherboard, and comparing it to some others with the price tags and everything, I would say this is really nice. Now for some specifications, I used XPG Lancer DDR5 4x16 at 5600 MHz. With XMP enabled, we got read speeds going up to 60,000 megabytes per second, write speed 60,800 megabytes per second, copy 61,000 megabytes per second, and latency 95.1 nanoseconds. Now for some of these specifications it comes down to the RAMs, so there's that. When testing the processor and the cooling with 360 radiator in AIDA 64 Extreme Edition with all the necessary stuff ticked, so CPU, FPU, cache, system memory, we got 79 degrees Celsius on the processor. XPG S70 blade, Gamix S70 blade. While testing it in Crystal Disk 7, we got read speeds going up to 7,143 megabytes per second, while the write speeds go up to 5,512 megabytes per second. Also, I wanted to test out Cinebench R23 on this board with this processor. We got 22,623 points, and in Corona 1.3 the processor scores 68 seconds. Now comparing this board to the Z790 Taichi, we get 2 seconds slower on this board in Corona 1.3, and then in Cinebench R23 multi-score we actually got 400 more Cinebench points in multi-CPU scores. So Z790 Taichi 22,258, while this one, the Pro RS, got 22,623. Now, of course, I also noticed that the Cinebench R23 and in general Cinebench benchmark can sometimes give different scores in some certain time period, and it's not that drastic like this one with 400. If it was a couple of thousand of Cinebench points difference, then we would be talking about some other stuff. But all in all, if you're not looking for an expensive motherboard, even though the power design could be done a bit better, like 16+1+1 or 16+2 or whatever, but right here we have 14+1+1, and even though it can handle the i5-13600k without any issues, maybe overclocking should be taken with a bit of a more precaution just in case, so the motherboard can deliver enough power to your CPU. When we're talking about the M.2 slots, you have literally loads of them and you don't have to worry about anything, including the reinforced PCI Gen 5 slot, which kind of comes now in almost every Z790. I'm fascinated that the RAMs can go up to 6800 MHz, which is quite impressive. And when we're talking about in general motherboard and the connectors and headers, it's really packed with everything. You can really do wonders with this board, so I would definitely suggest this one if you're rocking i5 and you still want to have DDR5 and you really want to save up money on a motherboard, because even though it kind of gets a bit lower scores in benchmarks comparing it to the Z790 Taichi, we can understand even why, because 790 Taichi is designed for high-end processors and must give better performance. This one is quite alright, and I have literally nothing against it. If you're looking for a board that has certain visuals that covers this part of a PCB, then I can't say anything about that. It's all up to your personal preferences, but all in all, taking benchmarks into consideration and the connectors, I would say this is a quite nice board. Links for this ASRock Z790 Pro RS, including the Intel Core i5-13600k, is in the description below. And if this is your first time watching my videos, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any future ones that will be published in the future, because we have some interesting stuff, as I say, every time. So yeah, you don't want to miss those. Thanks for watching. See you next time, guys. Bye bye.